Hey there, my name's Nathan, and I'll be sharing the development of Rewind Race. And my hope is that you'll learn something out of it.
WOTS. Woats.
I created a game for the Brackeys Game Jam 2020.2 called Rewind Race. The voting just wrapped up, and the game finished in the top 10% out of a whopping 1,859 games. This was the first game jam that I've ever participated in, and I was excited to finally give one a go. Since this jam was a week long, it actually worked really well with my schedule. On this highly detailed chart that I have created, the blue is all the time available to work on the jam, the red is my work schedule for the week, leaving green for the times that I'm able to work on the game. However, some things came up and I had to change up my Monday, which cuts some time off the project. Oh, and let's not forget sleepy time, very important. Also, I didn't end up working on it on Saturday, which I'll get to why, and my lovely wife was nice enough to give me some extra time to work on it, which is in the yellow. I may not get all week to work on it, but once the hours are totaled up, I'll get about 25 hours to work on the game, which shouldn't be a problem at all, especially if I have a good plan of attack. The theme was announced at 6 a.m. my time, which I was definitely not gonna wake up for. But when I woke up, I saw the theme was Rewind, and I was not inspired by it at all. I could already imagine the countless games that would use the same click to rewind the player mechanic, and I really didn't want to do something repetitive. I actually then at that moment decided that I was going to opt out and test my luck with another jam. So that's where the video ends. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Of course, this is not where the video ends. Yes, silly goose, there's so much more. So much more. The next morning I was on opening shift at work, and that is where I was struck with inspiration. The plan was to make a platforming game where you had to race to the end of the level before time ran out, and then race a rewound version of yourself back to the beginning. I was eager to start work on the idea, but remember that schedule? It'd have to wait until Monday evening. In order to have this game functional, there are a few major things that I need working. First of all, I need the player to be able to complete the level, and then the big task of racing their rewind back to the beginning. If I can't even get that working, this whole game is obsolete. So, no pressure, right? No pressure. My project officially started on Monday evening. The first thing I did was start working on the player's movement. To make the game simple, I wanted the character to automatically run. This was mainly because I could see people cheesing the levels pretty easily if I gave them free control. I also wanted to avoid death, and made it a single button game, being the spacebar to jump. The simpler the better in a game jam, that was my philosophy. Once I got something feeling good, I started to do some research on how to implement a rewind effect. Basically, I needed to record the player's movements, and then after completing the level, spawn the player's recording on another game object to race. I found a great article on how to implement a rewind effect similar to The Prince of Persia. However, instead of reversing the player, I changed it to have another game object follow that path. I dove into the code and eureka! It worked. Once I set up triggers to turn the player around and made the rewind player follow the past movement, I added in a couple placeholder cubes that would speed up and slow down the player for a short time and called it a day there. After a short 3-hour programming session, I felt pretty good about my game. On Tuesday, I didn't have a lot of programming to do. Since I had the major aspects of my game completed, I wanted to spend this day working on the art. Firstly, for the character, I wanted a fun and simple design. I wanted to go with a VHS for the character because it just sounded like a lot of fun. And I wanted to give it a limbless design akin to Rayman. I took pictures of a VHS tape and designed the character. Then I moved on to Maya to 3D model the VHS, then to Photoshop to create the texture, which I was very happy with. After I got the base of the model completed, I imported it over to Unity to get the correct scale for the game. Once I was happy with that, I moved on to modeling the hands and the feet and started to animate the character. Set up the animator in Unity, blah blah blah. I know, that's a bunch of steps just for a character, but honestly this took up like my whole day, but I was very happy with how the character turned out. It just really kind of goes to show how much work actually goes into a single character. I actually forgot to hit record on the rest of the day, shame on me, but I did record the progress after about 9 hours of work. To sum it up, I added in a countdown timer, some flags that would change spots after completing the level, and I started to get a feel for the level art style. Those with a keen eye will notice the background placeholder is the skybox from the Doinky Joe Discord game, which you can watch that video on my channel too. It's now Wednesday morning. I started to finalize what I wanted the levels to look like. I went with simple borders for the levels. Eventually, I would go on to make it so different colors affect the player differently. The player could bounce off the yellow, the green would speed up, and the red would slow down, which I kind of just let the player learn on their own. Then I moved on to modeling and texturing the pickup items. This was very quick to implement into Unity. I slapped a symbol on them, and I don't think it read as well as I would have liked, but alas, time is short, so we must move on. Another big effect I wanted for the game was to have a rewind effect to cover the screen when you are racing. I found this really cool video on how to use a video to overlay onto the screen, and after following the tutorial, it was looking pretty nice. Now that I had a single level pretty much complete, I wanted to work on menus and transitions. Here's how they turned out, and it's pretty much self-explanatory. From there, it was finally time to do some level design. I used the rest of my time designing 6 levels, then sent it off to my playtesters before I left for work. It was now Thursday. I got some feedback from my playtesters, and I made some slight adjustments. After that, a large majority of the day went to searching opengameart.com, looking for good sound effects and music to fit my game. I really didn't record very much of this day because it was just mundane polishing. One of my favorite parts of the day was actually doing the announcer voiceovers, which seemed to be a really big hit, which was pretty awesome, to be honest. So why don't you go ahead and listen to my lovely voice with all the sound effects in there.
Rewind break! 3, 2, 1, go!
I'm not even sure if anyone noticed, but during the racing portion of the game, the song does play in reverse. I just thought that was a very nice touch.
Complete! 3, 2, 1, go!
Once the sounds were in place, I added a butt-ton of particle effects to the game. Everything was in place, and I had some spare time for more level design. It was finally Friday. I didn't get home until about 10 p.m. that day, but since the game wasn't due until 6 a.m., I had plenty of time to upload the game, and nothing would go wrong, right? I wanted to make this game a browser game, and I have not done that before. Upon building my game and uploading it to itch, I had some weird things happen. Firstly, the flags on my flagpoles disappeared. I have no idea why, they were just gone. Also, the video effect on the rewind disappeared. Again, I have no idea why, but this was a huge problem. That is something that I wanted from the beginning of the game's conception, and I just couldn't leave it out. I also had web browser resolution problems, and I still have no idea what I'm supposed to do about that, so I just slapped on some text to prompt the player to play in full screen. The flag I finally fixed, and for the rewind effect, I had to do some creative thinking. I took a rain particle effect and rotated it 90 degrees. This made it look like little lines were flying through, and I was okay with that. Now that everything was good to go, set up the page with a thumbnail and screenshots, and then tested and tested and tested again, and then one more time for good measure. It was about 2 a.m. and I finally submitted my first Game Jam game. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the voting is over and Rewind Race placed 164th out of 1,859, which is in the top 10%. So I'm very happy with my game, and I'm very happy with the results, and I really enjoyed taking part in my first game jam. I'll leave a link in the description for you to play Rewind Race, and I would absolutely love to hear what you think about it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.